There's a ghost in here.
You've got to deal with them.
We have to get out of here.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we'll recap a 2010 American supernatural psychological horror film named The Ward. Before we start, it is a request to please like and comment on the video as it will help us to grow our reach. The movie begins in rural Oregon, at the Coos Psychiatric Hospital in 1996. Here we see someone making strange sounds, coming outside the room of a patient named Tammy. Tammy gets very scared and then that unseen force chokes her and kills her. Next, we see Kristen, a troubled young woman, sets fire to an abandoned farmhouse. After some time the police come there and arrests her. The local police then take her to Coos Bay. Here she is brought to a ward where she sees other patients, and Nurse Lunt takes her to the room previously occupied by Tammy. She leaves her there and asks her to take a rest. Now when she is sleeping at night, someone pulls her blanket under the bed. After some time when she wakes up, she starts searching for her blanket and she finds some tiny metal blocks of a bracelet, in which some letters are written. The next morning the therapist, Dr. Stringer, comes to her room and sees that she was sleeping on the floor. He gives her his intro and says that he will treat her. Just then Nurse Lunt also comes there, and Kristen tells them that somebody came in there last night. The nurse then gives her some pills, but she throws them down and crushes them with her feet. Then after some time when Kristen comes out, a girl named Emily tries to talk to her. She asks her if she is going to save them, but then Iris comes there and asks Emily not to scare Kristen. Next, we see her with Dr. Stringer, where she asks him why she is here. Doctor asks her why she went to the farmhouse she burnt yesterday. He tells her she had the address for the place written on the palm of her hand, but Kristen couldn't remember anything. Then when she wakes up late that night, she sees someone outside the door. Now the next day Iris comes to Kristen and says that she wants to draw her. Kristen agrees to this and then Emily also comes there. Here she sees Mr. Hudson and his wife looking at them. Iris tells her that Stringer is a great doctor and that the way he is dealing with them is some sort of experimental therapy. Kristen says that she saw a girl walking around the halls last night, to which Iris says that's impossible. Now at night, Sarah plays music and starts dancing. Then Iris, Emily, and Zoe join her and Kristen starts enjoying it all. But then suddenly lightning flashes and it becomes dark, and during this, we see an entity there. They all get very scared, but then after a while, the lights turn on. Now later all of them are taking a bath when one by one everyone leaves from there, and just Kristen remains there. And during this, we see that entity there. It suddenly attacks Kristen, and hearing her scream, Nurse Lunt comes there and asks her what the matter is. Kristen tells her something was in there, and it was not human. But Nurse Lunt does not believe her and gives an injection to calm her down. Then when she regains consciousness, she is in an operation theater. Stringer puts a bit in her mouth and says that the medications are not working as he'd hoped. He then gives her an electric shock, after which Roy and his companions bring her to her room. Now the next day all the girls have a session with Dr. Stringer. He tells them to just says what is in their mind, and asks who will begin. Emily says he took Tammy away and she didn't come back. Kristen asks who is Tammy, to which Iris says she is the last one that got out. Just then Stringer asks what happened in the shower yesterday. Sarah says she didn't see a thing, but Emily says that she believes her. Later Iris tells them she is being released. Emily asks her if Dr. Stringer told her this, to which she says not directly, and then she leaves there for her session with Dr. Stringer. Here Stringer shows her some sketches made by her, which also have a sketch of that entity. She tells him it is an old one. Stringer says she is making considerable progress and he will see how things go today. Then he shows her a device called a metronome. He asks her to listen to the rhythm as it will help her relax. He then asks her to close her eyes and focus on her home. Imagine her parents are waiting for her. Now she tells him they live in a little white house. Stringer says it's September 3, 1958. It's nighttime. She is asleep in her bedroom. Then an orderly comes there and Stringer says that she is sleeping in his office. But when the orderly goes there is no one there. Next, we see someone taking her away, and when she looks up, she gets terrified. It is the same entity that brings her to an operation theater. Iris apologizes to it and says she just wants to go home. But the entity picks up a surgical tool from the tray and kills her by stabbing it into her eye. Here Zoe asks Kristen where is Iris. Just then Nurse Lunt comes there and Kristen asks her about Iris, but she tells them to go to sleep. Now the next day Kristen goes to Iris's room where she finds her sketchbook. She asks Nurse Lunt if Iris went home. Why didn't she take her sketchbook? She brings her sketchbook with her in which she finds a sketch of a girl named Alice, and on the other page, a deformed sketch of Alice is made. She gets confused seeing this and then takes out those tiny metal blocks and sees that Alice's name is written on them. Next, Kristen asks Stringer about Alice, and says she is the one who attacked her in the shower. She asks him what is going on here, to which he says he can't give her the answers. Kristen gets furious, and Stringer tells Roy to take her back to her room. Now Kristen asks the girls who Alice is, but they do not answer her. Sarah gets up and starts leaving, but Kristen approaches her and slaps her. Emily then tells her that Alice was one of them but she is gone now. Kristen says that she is getting out of here tonight and that she is going to find Iris. She asks them if they are coming with her, but Zoe says she won't let them leave. Now at night, Kristen and Emily attempt to find Iris and escape. They come to a morgue, but then someone starts coming there and both of them hide there. Here we see someone behind Kristen but then she comes out. She sees that someone is trying to open the mortuary cooler from the inside. When she opens the door, no one is there, but then she sees Alice's hand, which frightens her, and she runs away and comes out. Outside she hears the voice of Zoe who takes Alice's name. When she looks back, she can't see anyone, and then Alice appears and Kristen falls unconscious. Next, she wakes up in her room and is in severe pain in her head. Then Emily comes there and tells her those orderlies caught her and they hurt her arm. Kristen says Iris is gone, and if they don't get out of here they are next. After this, Sarah comes to Kristen and says she could have gotten them all in trouble. Kristen says they were looking for Iris, to which Sarah says she probably was not looking in the right places. Then she comes out where she sees Alice in the compact mirror. She runs away in fear and hides in a room, but Alice catches her there. We then see them in the operation theater. Sarah apologizes to her and says that this was not her idea. They made her do it. She begs her to let her go, but Alice gives her a high-frequency electric shock, due to which she gets badly burned and eventually dies. Here Emily says if Alice got Sarah, she will get them all. Zoe gets scared and Kristen notices that the toy belongs to Alice. Zoe says she didn't touch her. It was Sarah and the other girls. She then reveals that Alice used to hurt them all the time, and Tammy told them she could make it stop. Then in a flashback, we see how they all trapped her and killed her together. Kristen asks them why she is after her, but Emily runs away from there. She tries to commit suicide, but Kristen stops her from doing so. Then Alice grabs her hand and slits her throat, and she dies there. Now Kristen puts a knife on Joe's neck and asks Nurse Lunt to open the door. Nurse Lunt and an orderly ask her to calm down and drop the knife, and only then does Roy come there and they catch Kristen. She tries to tell them that Alice is trying to kill them, and only then Stringer comes there and stops Nurse Lunt to inject her. But when Kristen tries to escape, Stringer catches her, and Nurse Lunt injects her with drugs. Next, we see her in her room in a straitjacket. She tries to free herself and finally manages to do it. Now at night when Nurse Lunt comes to check her, she knocks her unconscious. She then knocks Roy down and starts leaving there with Zoe. Both of them escape and come to the basement. Kristen sends Zoe to the first floor in a dumbwaiter, but Alice kills her there. Just then an orderly comes there and tries to open the door, and before he can reach her, Kristen goes inside the dumbwaiter. Now she comes to the first floor and starts looking for Zoe. There she sees a trail of blood, and suddenly Alice comes there and attacks her. Kristen gets up and runs away from there to a room. She tries to call for help but Alice comes there too, but the next moment she disappears. Now we see Alice behind her and she starts attacking her again. Kristen tries to fight her back and she attacks her with a fireman's axe. She sees her dying in front of her eyes, after which she comes to Dr. Stringer's office. There she finds Alice's file, which has each of the girls' names, including Kristen herself. Just then Stringer comes there and Kristen asks him for the answers. He tells her that her name is Alice Lee Hudson. Now Kristen gets shocked to hear this. He then reveals that Kristen is actually one of many personalities of her, who was kidnapped at age 11, 8 years earlier, and left chained for 2 months in the basement of the same farmhouse she burned down. In order to survive the trauma, she developed multiple personality disorders, creating each one of the girls from the ward with a different personality. Over time, Alice's own personality became so overwhelmed by the others that she became lost. He attempted experimental techniques to bring her own personality back, resulting in the manifestation of Ghost Alice, who destroyed the individual personalities one by one. Her treatments were working until Kristen appeared, as an attempt of Alice's mind to protect the other personalities, so she wouldn't need to face her trauma. Suddenly, Ghost Alice appears there and attacks her, and jumps out the window with her. Dr. Stringer and orderlies come out and see injured Alice lying there. Then we see Mr. Hudson and his wife, and here we come to know that they are Alice's parents. At the end of the movie, Alice packs a suitcase with her belongings as she prepares to leave the hospital. When she opens the medicine cabinet above her sink, Kristen lunges out at her. Please like and subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon never to miss new video updates. Thanks for watching.